Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Ellis. I'm here to present my mastery journey for Full Sail University in regards to my media design masters. The first of 12 courses of this program is called Mastery, Personal Development, and Leadership. The first goal for this class was to learn to become a better mentor. The tactic I used for this was doing my homework and reading the assigned textbook for the class, Mastery by Robert Greene. The second goal I had was to understand true fulfillment. So the tactic for this was to read an article from the Journal of Happiness Studies called Satisfaction with Creativity. The third goal I had for this class was to design various forms of media on a daily basis. So in order to do this, I'm using my current productivity management software, Todoist, to set reminders and write or sketch something every day. The second course is defining client needs. The first goal for this class was to understand how to address various target markets. In order to do this, I looked at this particular article that talked about marketing strategies that range from tobacco to food corporations. I found it interesting because you can't just have the same message for tobacco or food. You got to tailor your market and your message to those particular people. The second goal for this class was to find a method that promotes a company's competitive advantage. In order to do this, I read an article about designing an omni experience, and this basically means that you are creating more than just a product or service. You're creating somewhat of an umbrella of products and services that keep the consumer coming back for more. The third goal was to design a presentation template that presents solutions to client needs. So in order to do this, I'm designing a template in Keynote in order to make a simple yet informative presentation. The third course is brand development. The first goal for this class is to learn to understand a brand and develop knowledge about it. In order to do this, I read The Mediating Effect of Brand Identity on Brand Knowledge, and this was just basically talking about a correlation between identity and knowledge of a brand, and by elevating both of those, you can change a perception of a particular brand in the consumer's mind. The second goal was to find an effective marketing strategy. So for this, I read something called Are You Targeting Too Much? And here it's saying that instead of just casting out a net and seeing where the message lands upon the audience, you're specifically targeting particular groups of people in order to efficiently communicate your message. The third goal is to enhance my personal brand. So for this, I'm meeting with one of my coworkers, Modest, and the branding team to brainstorm ideas and implementations. The fourth course is effective copywriting. The first goal for this class is to understand how to get people behind a message. In order to do this, I found a suggestion on how to quickly communicate a message. You don't want to keep it convoluted. You want to keep it fairly precise in order to quickly communicate what you want to the consumer. The second goal is to learn to write persuasively, and in order to do this, you have to use the proper tone in order to target a specific audience. The third goal was to research strategies to effectively communicate and connect with the audience. So for this, the article I had read said to emphasize digital mediums and tailor the message. So while you can use things like print, posters, business cards, digital mediums are typically quicker and you can get it out there to a wider scope of people. The fifth course is design research. The first goal for this class was to learn the importance of visuals to the viewer. So here I read a study of the effects of visual images and their environment. And so this is the concept behind, like, if there's an advertisement with a picture, there can be a few words describing that product. So having the visual and the text can build up an idea of the brand to the consumer. The second goal is to apply critical thinking skills to the personal life. So for this, I read a study on clarifying critical thinking processes. The third goal was to determine how much data can influence a design. And I had read an interesting study on how supply chain configurations led to design decision making. So here people analyze previous data from older products, figured out what worked and what didn't, and made appropriate changes for the next iteration. The sixth course is organizational structures. Here, the first goal was to organize, process, and evaluate information from research. The tactic here was to read a study on how cognitive research can benefit peer-to-peer interactions and influence the learning environment. The second goal was to understand how to optimize workflow. And here I read an article on tailoring personal productivity workflow. The third goal was to reevaluate workflow for personal and professional projects. So here I wanted to reorganize and declutter my current project management software, Todoist, in order to ensure efficiency. The seventh course is design strategies and motivation. First goal for this class was to explore various design options and strategies. The tactic for this was to recognize the importance of user-centered design. You don't want to confuse the user. Everything should be fairly clear as to what they should focus on. The second goal was to find out how design and strategy work together. The tactic here was to learn about the integration of design thinking and strategic management. The third goal for this class was to discover how to plan for future research and implementations. So here I read about something called backward design and how it doesn't apply to just classroom-based curriculum, but it can apply to all other kinds of processes. The eighth course is design integration. The first goal for this was to understand how to prepare for the ever-changing landscape of media design. The tactic here was to read a study of using design innovation to become one with the future. So here it's just basically prepping yourself now in order to ensure your success for the future. The second goal was to evaluate project management productivity, and in order to accomplish this, I read an article about the relationship between operational variables and performance. The third goal for this class was to test out a new design method in my personal workflow. So the tactic for this was to integrate the Eat Your Frogs workflow to the daily routine. If you don't know what that is, basically it's waking up in the morning and getting something done that is high priority, so you have set yourself up to have a productive rest of the day. The ninth course is multi-platform delivery. The first goal is to use analysis skills to increase communication effectiveness. The tactic for this is to understand the audience and draw on past data such as portfolios, written deliverables, and feedback. The second goal is to understand how technology can benefit the creative process. In order to do this, I want to use technology to quickly collect data and provide sophisticated deliverables that can solve complex problems. The third goal is to learn from a peer with experience on deliverables. So here I want to ask my coworker Frank at Modest how he exports deliverables to his clients. The 10th course is measuring design effectiveness. The first goal here is to learn from failures to ensure success. So the tactic for this goal is to read a study where success was generally attributed to academic supports, engaging in campus activities, and understanding general education learning outcomes. The second goal for this class was to identify subtle details that affect design effectiveness. In order to do this, I learned that typography establishes an emotional connection with the user. The third goal was to find a way to measure design effectiveness with the personal brand. So here I wanted to set up an Excel file that records changes and results over time. The 11th course is the thesis, presentation of a design solution. The first goal is to find one way to improve a work environment. And here I think that using tactful humor can help in certain situations. You just got to know when to use it. The second goal is to understand how to efficiently research and implement a design solution. So here I wanted to engage in a systematic way of inquiry that creates explicit knowledge. The third goal is to begin thinking of possible topics for this presentation. So I want to use my media design prompts that I've been accumulating daily in order to narrow down at least 3 options for the thesis. The 12th course is professional practice. The first goal for this class is to develop a productive, systematic approach to design problems. The tactic here is to establish conditions for success rather than react to problems to create meaningful, sustainable change. The second goal is to learn of the global market and how to navigate it. The tactic here is to understand the challenges and limits of global business ethics. And the third goal is to practice what I preach. So here I want to apply all the principles I've learned to my current professional workplaces. I had 6 different industry leaders. There was Linda Felipez, Ray Tupas Prado, David Jacobus, Kenny Barnes, Mark Fruing, and Stephen Van Orden. In terms of clubs and organizations, there is Idaskal, which is a local organization here. And actually, all of these are local organizations here in Walla Walla. The second is Friends of Children of Walla Walla, and the third is the Blue Humane Mountain Society. In terms of my personal learning network, I wanted to seek out companies who had that kind of service and product umbrella. They weren't limited to just one particular thing, and so that's why I chose Red Bull, Apple, and Tesla. In terms of clubs and organizations at Full Sail University, the 3 that stood out to me were the Collegiate DECA, Creative Writing Club, and International Student Society. In terms of what I look for in a mentor, the 5 qualities that stood out to me were being a strong leader, staying open-minded, someone who isn't afraid to provide constructive feedback, someone who is an active listener, and one who is a risk taker. In terms of my 12-month timeline, here are all my classes and the points that I want to gain from each of these classes. So the first was Mastery, Personal Development and Leadership. I want to learn to become a better leader by turning my passion into a career. The second is Defining Client Needs. I want to develop campaigns that effectively reach the target markets. The third is Brand Development, understanding the brand and using marketing efficiently. The fourth is Effective Copywriting. I want to explain and defend rationale persuasively through research. The fifth is Design Research. Understand how to translate research and critical thinking into effective design. The sixth is Organizational Structures. I want to adopt processes and workflows consistent with professional practice. The seventh is Design Strategies and Motivation. I want to learn design options and understand how to implement them. The eighth is Design Integration. Learn how new ideas and methods can be communicated using various media. The ninth is Multi-Platform Delivery. I want to develop a unified multimedia campaign. The 10th is Measuring Design Effectiveness. I want to gain a better understanding of how design is perceived and interpreted by the target audience or audiences. The 11th is the Thesis, Presentation of Design Solution. I got to explain how research, preliminary investigations, and applications contribute to design solution. And the 12th is Organizational Structures, Articulation and Management of Processes. I want to understand global, legal, and ethical issues, and I want to present myself well. Finally, here are a list of all my references. Thank you so much.